Hi children, we have already completed one chapter of your textbook, right? The units and measurements, right? So today in this session I would like to introduce a new chapter which is very important in our day-to-day life. This chapter also related with our day-to-day life, okay? And before starting I would like to ask you to have a look around you. So when you look around, you can notice some objects moving and some objects are not. Can you name some of the objects which are moving? Yes, fan. So the fan, moving fan you can notice. Yes, of course, mosquitoes fly around you. You can notice an ant moving on the floor, isn't it? And if you are staying to nearby the roadside, then you can notice vehicles moves on the road, isn't it? So all these all these kind of moving objects you can notice in your day every day, isn't it? And let me ask you one thing: are all the objects moving in the same manner? No, isn't it? The car is moving on a straight line road. You can see the fan is moving about and around an axis, isn't it? And then mosquitoes fly here and there, zigzag motion in the air. Ants are moving in a straight line on the floor. So different all this, and if you notice the pendulum of your clock, that also moving, isn't it? It is moving to and fro motion, isn't it? Once it moves forward, then again it moves backward. So that kind of motion is called to and fro motion. So pendulum of a clock moves to and fro motion. And then you can see the hands of minute hand and hour hands of the clock moves. Isn't it? It moves in a circle. Isn't it? Completes one circle when it moves. Isn't it? So it moves through a circular path. So different types. All the motions are different types in all these examples. Isn't it? And you also learned what names we call all these type of motions. In your previous class, of course, you learnt it, but even then, let me remind it. Okay, the motion of an object in a straight line path. That is, in the case of car, example, the car moves in a straight road. That is called linear motion of the vehicle. Okay, so any object moves in a straight line. Such kind of motion is known as linear motion. And the hands of a clock moves in a circular path, isn't it? And such kind of motion which moves in a circular path, the car is moving in a curved path. Okay, if it moves in a circle, around a circle, it is known as circular motion. Okay, any object which moves in a circular path, it is known as circular motion. And the blades of a fan moves about an axis, isn't it? Such motion is called rotational motion. So if the object moves about an axis, such kind of motion is known as rotational motion. And pendulum of a clock, it moves from mean position and it moves forward, then it moves to come back to the mean position, again it moves backward and come back to the mean position. So it moves forward and backward from a mean position. Such kind of motion is called vibratory motion or oscillatory motion. Okay, so motion of a pendulum is vibratory or oscillatory motion. And then some motion movement. Earth. Take the example of Earth moving around the sun. Of every 1 year, 365 days, it repeats the same kind of motion again. Okay, such kind of motion is known as periodic motion. Any motion or any object moves After a regular intervals of time, if it repeats its motion again and again, then the motion is called periodic motion. So dear children, which are the motion types of motion we discussed just now? Yes, one is, yes, linear motion. Linear motion means when the object moves in a straight line, the motion is known as linear motion. Example, the motion of a vehicle on a straight path. Then the second motion which we discussed is circular motion. If any object follows a circular path while during its motion, then the motion is known as circular motion. Okay, example, the object's car moving on a circular path is known as circular motion. And then rotational motion. If an object moves about an axis, such kind of motion is known as rotational motion. Motion of the blades of a fan is an example for rotational motion. Then next, vibratory motion or oscillatory motion. The motion of an object, the to and fro motion of an object is known as what? Vibratory motion or oscillatory motion. Example, pendulum of a clock is an example for oscillatory motion. And then the last one which we discussed just now is periodic motion. That is, if any object repeats its motion after regular intervals of time, such motion is known as periodic motion. The earth movement of earth around the sun is example for periodic motion. So understood children? Now in this chapter we have to learn more about motion, that is different terms related with motion. Before that, I would like to ask you one thing, that okay, if you are sitting inside a bus, you imagine that you are sitting inside a bus, okay, and a passenger is sitting beside you, okay, and you are sitting inside a moving bus. A passenger is sitting beside you, and you reached to a bus stop, okay, and after from bus stop, the bus leaving from a stop, okay, the bus is leaving the bus stop. A person is standing outside the bus in the bus stop, okay, a person standing at the bus stop looking at you, okay, and the bus just leaving, started moving. So for that person, you are moving, okay. So you may be, if we ask to that person standing outside the bus, he will say you are in motion, okay. But if we ask the person who is sitting beside you, nearby you, are you will he say the same thing, you are moving? No, may not be, because he may say you are not moving, because you are sitting there itself. According to him, you are sitting there itself, you are not moving. But at the same time, if we ask to the person who is standing outside and watching you, then he will say you are moving. Why it happens? So the same person, you, for one person you are moving, for the other person they say you are not moving. So what does it mean? Why is it so? Yes, it is because motion is relative. Motion is relative. So what is relative means? For some particular, if we compare with some particular thing, your position changes, okay, the position changes. If we ask to the person outside the bus, he will say you are moving, because according to him, your position is changing time to time. As time passes, your position is changing, okay. So the person will say you are moving. And the person who sits nearby you may say you are not moving because according to that person, your position is same, not changing. So he will say, that person will say you are not moving. So motion is relative term. Okay. So motion is relative term. With respect to some objects, we can say whether it is moving or not. So that is why the movie say motion is relative. The same person can, same object can find for some particular person or particular thing. The say if we compare, the same thing can be moving as well as at rest. That's why we call it the motion is relative too. So when do we say from this example? Could you understand when do we say object is moving? I told you, if the object changes its position time to time, then the object is said to be in motion. Okay, so an object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to time. As time is passes the person object will move, then we say the object is in motion. So children, this is for today. This much for today, and next session we will be continuing with the new terms related with motion. Till then, bye.